Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Andy and Rem Show. You may notice, however, that right now there is a distinct lack of Remington. However, this isn't necessarily his fault. So, hello there, folks. No Remington right now, but he will be here shortly. Word is, the security outside the Andy and Rem studios have informed me that Mr. Remington's limo pulled up some time ago. However, with it being Valentine's Day, you wouldn't believe how many groupies were gathered outside the studio, and as soon as he opened the door, swarmed into the limo, crushing him potentially to death. So at the moment, they're trying to scoop him off the side of the limo with a spatula and wheel his frail, broken down carcass inside so we can actually begin the show properly. So no music yet, but it is going to come if he still has his lung capacity after that crush. However, while waiting, we do actually have someone here with us. We have Dreddy, and joined by the legendary cousin of Remington Steele, Crabbington Steele.
Well, I still live on Dreddy's couch. I wanted to bring my Valentine's date, but Dreddy wasn't too happy with that. Like us doing all the the greasy lobster lovings on the couch. So she kicked her out again, which made me sad. So now I'm just hanging out here because Remington, my cousin, didn't show up. So it's I have to fill. I tried to sing a song, but I was threatened by Andy if I would do it, so I didn't. So I will just sit in the background for a while and just watch silently, I guess.
Well, the musical talent in the Steele family probably went to Remington, but the smoothness and the skill with the ladies clearly went to Crabbington.
Yes, it was quite gross.
Quite popular on Valentine's Day.
When I walked in there, it took a lot of cleaning, a lot of mopping and wiping until my couch was usable again.
Just Agrax Earthshade everywhere.
Yes. Especially that.
So
they were just getting hammered out of their minds on Agrax on my couch.
Mr. Remington did just appear in the chat, by the way.
Oh.
So I would assume that means he's on his way imminently. So let's see who else is in there right now while we're waiting for him to pop in. So on the participants list right now, we have the likes of Bazooka J Rambo, Dark Adrenaline, Demon _Lizard _from _outer _space, Graham Rigg, Mickey Jenver, No Clucks Given, which is a name I haven't seen before, Skeleton Flower, Newbie, and there's new people commenting all the time as it starts to fill up. We had more people chatting away earlier as well, such as Thomas Washk, and who else was there earlier on? Neil Parks. So, I don't even know whether we should start discussing anything until Mr. Remington comes in.
Yeah, he could be right outside the metaphorical door right now.
What could happen would be that we start discussing it and then he comes straight in and interrupts us with the song, or we could wait and then be sitting here for 10 minutes waiting for him while he struggles with technical Remington-style issues, as he often does.
Yes.
We could actually blow people's mind while we're waiting, though.
Yeah.
Because, now, you've developed... It was actually a top-secret weapon that was being developed in Germany in 1945-ish. They abandoned it, though, to concentrate on other more pressing matters. So, would you like to hold Jeff up to the camera right now?
I will.
And we're going to test out the official Douche Chimera teleportation device.
Okay, I'll actually turn on my light for it. And there we go. I will send Jeff over to you right now. I just have to... It won't focus, but I think most people know what he looks like. And I just have to put him really close to the camera. Really close. And then he goes in. There we go. And he's in the teleportation.
And then, oh, look at that.
Holy crap.
Made it all the way here.
That's technology.
That is one authentic Jeff. Now, you may have noticed his base has changed a little bit in transit. That's because it only actually affects the molecules that make up the Jeff itself, the Chimera. The base is something totally different. So I actually had a blank base here waiting for him to take his perch upon it.
Yes, that's a side effect. That's why it wasn't used by the scientists, because it would put people on actual bases, human-sized bases. Hi, Uncle Frank.
Oh, shit.
And there he goes again.
That's Remington's sole contribution to the show tonight. You know, I actually told him, make sure you join with the right account, because you'll be jumping straight into the live show.
Yeah, just imagine this was his only thing he says, and he's not like coming back now. Like his internet goes out for the next week.
It's lucky he wasn't on his special Valentine's Day Google account, because we know he has one of those, and I don't really want to think about what this username might be. Definitely not suitable for broadcast. So while Mr. Remington logs out and then logs back in again with the right account, well, we just blew everyone's mind with that teleportation trick.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And of course, that does mean that Jeff has the capability to appear in multiple different countries now. So the level of Jeff content online is going to go through the roof, much like Jeff when he flies.
Yes, very much.
Look at him with all his majesty there. Caw-caw, caw-caw. Well, we have got Stormcast things to discuss, Mr. Remington, if you wouldn't mind hurrying up.
Man. Yeah, we are talking about interesting Jeff theories, like how there's apparently only one of his heads active at all times, but what if like this kind of chimera can only have one of the 3 heads active? And Jeff is kind of just, he mastered the ability of just staying awake all the time. When he sleeps, he's only half asleep, so he always keeps the other 2 heads kind of like, just like captive within his own subconscious. And what if they ever actually came to the surface? If Jeff actually fell asleep, like for proper? Who knows what the other heads' no characters are?
I wonder if there's perhaps some kind of secret concoction that could be created, that could be fed to Jeff, that would perhaps bring one of the other heads to the forefront for a while. Yes. Sounds like an idea for a future parkening scenario right there.
It actually does. This is pretty good, actually.
Gathering ingredients.
Yeah, a whole quest for the like the magical interdimensional sleep powder.
Speaking of the parkening, we are actually going to be recording a new parkening episode very soon. And that is, of course, going to be centered around Jeff, since you may recall at the end of the last episode, he kidnapped the winning pig from the last parkening race, which was Tekwin, the pig from the realm of the heavens. Jeff just carried him away. So who knows what Jeff's been up to in the meantime, but he's got his hands on an interdimensional realm pig, so he's got some serious power.
It's true. Some serious racing power. If he ever wants to, he could go into other realms and race their pigs and take over if he wanted to at this point. Yes, a champion pig.
I think Remington is having trouble getting back in now. Okay, I'm going to invite him for an 8th time to the hangout. And I'll send him the link again.
He should just have stayed in here with the Uncle Frank account. I think we could have...
There's the 9th and 10th times that I've sent him invitations and links to get in. It's typical Remington, though, isn't it? People have been complimenting the power of your webcam, by the way.
Yeah, this is a very good webcam. I think the last time when I was on the Indian Ram show, I'm not sure if I had the new webcam. No, I had I had the new webcam, but my internet was still crappy. That was the problem.
That was it, because your internet was terrible, so it wasn't really making any difference having the new webcam.
Yeah, people actually thought I got a new webcam when I actually got better internet. Like, who didn't follow my channel too closely. So, yeah, no, my internet quality went up by a lot. It's a huge difference. Also, uploading videos in no time. It's amazing. So the next time I have to upload a parkening video, which will be very soon, it won't take 7 hours. It will take, I don't know, 1/10 of that, hopefully.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like starting an upload and then seeing like 13 hours remaining, which hasn't happened to me for quite a while.
I always get paranoid that when I go to sleep with an upload going, that Windows will just decide to do like a random update and restart my PC during the upload. like stuff like that. That's why I don't like uploading overnight, which I don't have to do anymore, luckily.
Apparently, Remington is getting error messages when he tries to get in now.
Maybe he should restart his browser. Alternatively, use a different browser, maybe Chrome, if he doesn't already use it.
Usually what happens is he says these things, and then I just send him the exact same link again, which he then clicks and he gets in successfully. So I don't know what he's doing wrong, but he must be doing something wrong.
Maybe he's using Firefox.
Well, you know what we could look at while we're waiting for him? We could look at the shameless advertising that Mr. Remington has been doing on Facebook.
Yes.
So as you know, Andy Palooza is much bigger movement than RemCon ever was. And even DreadCon is doing considerably better. So Mr. Remington has resorted to Facebook advertising for his $1 million ideas to try and climb the ladder and catch up. So look at this. How shameless is that? Remington UK. And I don't think she even knows what she's doing with that patented Remington paint straightener right there.
I think it's just harvesting like human hair for actual like finger brushes or something that he will release later during this year.
And that little pot there, within there is the actual paint specially designed for the Remington finger sponge, which is lovely and fragrant because, you know, Mr. Remington puts potpourri on all his miniatures bases so they smell nice, which is represented there by the flowers, of course. So if you want to get someone a Valentine's Day treat at this late hour, because maybe they're disappointed you didn't get them anything, you could very quickly, if you're on Amazon Prime, maybe you could get it really fast. You could get some of the Remington $1 million ideas, such as the finger sponge, the paint straightener, the Remington roller.
Yeah, get your hair harvested. If you have too much hair, feel like you need to lose some. Which, I mean, there are a lot of people in our community who can't really afford to lose more hair, so maybe it's not for them, this product.
Yeah, Remington's still doing all right in the hair department for now, but I don't know. He does spend quite a lot of time styling it, though, so he could be covering something up under there.
Yes. I'm actually covering up my hair right now because it's just a giant mess. I'm just letting it grow out so I can do complete dreadlocks again and I just look like a clown. That's why I'm wearing a hat. I'm also wearing this hat because John Brandon Markham made me wear this hat. If you want to know more, watch the last Gloomy Thursday on my channel.
Yeah, just so you know, folks, I'm totally willing to wear a hat if someone donates money.
Yes.
So if someone sends a donation of at least $50 via PayPal, I will wear this really boring hat. If you want to donate $100, I will wear a wig.
You should do a donation thing for the Santa beard also.
If you want to donate $1,000, I'll wear a Santa beard. Oh, here he is.
Where he
we
is?
Got Remington. Are we going to get some music? Shall I put pressure on him and put the camera straight onto him?
I can try that. Oh. That sounded like noises.
The cries of Remington in peril.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Why? Why?
Is your webcam plugged in? Did you unplug it because you were in some shady chat rooms?
I don't know.
He was on chat roulette, just clicking through everyone, and then suddenly something disturbing came up that he didn't want to see, and he panicked so much that he threw his keyboard and mouse on the floor and quickly rushed and pulled the webcam down.
Oh, maybe it's better if you don't see me. Just picture me, very handsome, affable wargamer that should be out on a red hot date tonight, but instead cut it short to come and hang out with you guys.
You're at least going to give us some music.
Yeah, all right.
Don't sound so thrilled about it.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. Remington's all around me, and so the feeling grows. Andy and Dreddy are waiting for Remington to come back from his date. Remington does the right thing, doesn't want to let down all his mates. Yeah. And I'm back.
Na, na, na.
I think you have trouble with song endings, don't you, Mr. Remington?
I'm just on a roll, and then I realised that I'm on a, I have that awakening moment where you just think, that was really good. Oh, damn, I didn't think ahead to the next line. There you go.
So, Mr. Rem, I know for a fact the main reason that you can't show yourself is because if people could see you, they would see the level of excitement that's just oozing out of every orifice at the arrival of new Stormcast.
Oh, God.
So,
I don't know, what's it called? Is it called ratios? I mean, what's the ratio between Stormcast releases and any other kind of AOS release?
I would say, well, let's see, we've had, if you're only talking new stuff and not reboxings, so we're not going to count the Seraphon, and some of the Sylvaneth stuff wasn't new, but some of that was. So I would
Just
say
a lot of corn stuff.
So there's been a lot of Khorne, there's been Fire Slayers, but there wasn't too many of them. There's been some Sylvaneth, there's been Iron Jaws, a lot of those were new. And there's been the new Bone Splitters as well. Some of those were new, weren't they? New Savage Orcs. So I would say there's been slightly less Stormcast than everything else combined. Slightly.
Yeah, I would say 45%.
No.
Stormcast.
Well, you see, they're trying to establish the Stormcast as the one big seller in that brand. If you look at Space Marines and the percentage of sales they account for in 40k, that was obviously their thinking. How can we recreate that hugely successful line in a different game system? So they've gone a similar route with it. They're the same big, tough, armored guys that are just badder than everybody else. And then the other armies will slowly get more attention, but they are hoping that the Stormcast are going to be the ones that push their profits straight into the realm of the heavens. So with that in mind, shall we have a look at the new stuff?
Yes. Do we have Beast of War in the chat, or I'm seeing that incorrectly from how far my second monitor is?
I think we just have Beauvoir, which is kind of like Beast of War. It's like the knockoff Beast of War, I think.
The bootleg.
I'm just reading through the past comments, guys, and there seems to be a big clamouring for Remington right there. And just as I went off, I think you were talking about Andy Palooza.
Yes, I was talking about how wildly successful it was and how RemCon is struggling to catch up.
I think you must have been a lone voice calling out in the wilderness there.
Yeah, I mean, DreadCon is like regularly every 2 weeks. Almost at this point. With
DreadCon? When did DreadCon start?
Attending.
That's another rip-off.
Started 10 years ago, actually, or 11.
Like
every time I go to the gaming club.
Have you stole my camera, Dreddy, as well as my ideas?
Maybe. That's why you don't have a camera. We actually beamed it over to my place, like we just beamed over the Jeff miniature. I don't know if you watched for that, but we had some crazy technology going on here.
I think I saw the Jeff. That's when I switched off.
People tune in for Jeff. They come for the Age of Sigmar discussion and they stay for Jeff.
Yes.
Really? I've not seen anyone. No one's ever mentioned it before. That's all.
Well, shall we have a look at an interesting idea here from GW? What they have done over the past few years, mainly, is reduce the number of models in the box and keep the price the same, or put the price up so that you're getting less for your money. However, with the Stormcast, look at this: Liberators and Judicators, they used to be about £30-ish for 5. Now they're $37.50 for 10.
Yeah, I mean, they really had to do the step with the Stormcast, with the Judicators and Liberators, because of how cheap the starter box Judicators and Liberators are on eBay still, or even just getting the starter box. I bet a lot of people never bothered even looking at the 5 Liberator boxes for however expensive they were.
Because it's very easy to convert. Just get one box of Judicators and use the spare parts to convert the starter box Liberators into them. So they're much more competitively priced now. And I'm glad I only bought one box of Judicators so far, rather than people that went out and bought like 5, and now suddenly they're almost half price. I'm sure those people aren't too thrilled.
Yes.
There are a couple of brand new things, though, that we're going to look at right now. So let's start. We'll get to the thing that Dreddy's really excited about in a moment. Let's start with the Vanguard Hunters. So we've got a war scroll to look at now. I know you're excited about that, Mr. Remington, but let's have a little reading of this first.
just get a drink.
Bold readers and expert scouts, the Vanguard Hunters are the elite infantry of the Vanguard Auxiliary Chambers. Battle-hardened veterans, they are experts at using the terrain to their advantage. Their darting guerrilla raids necessitate constant movement. More than once has a thought unassailable position been scaled and destroyed by a band of Vanguard Hunters who have made themselves invisible during the madness of battle. Their weapons suit their role, heavy-bladed swords and short-hefted axes cut through brush, briar, and flesh. And bolt-storm pistols are easy to fire on the move. Well, that was a bit of a disappointing ending, talking about the ease of firing them on the move. I was expecting more like rendered flesh and...
So let me get this right, Andy. Heavily armored, gold-plated warriors silently move through terrain faster than everyone else, shoot better than, Way Watchers, fight better than war dancers,
have more hit points also,
and can appear from anywhere around the board. That seems
well. There's something you're overlooking. First of all, they're not weighed down because this one guy isn't wearing a helmet, which makes him much lighter and more agile. And also, they're wearing fur, which is very aerodynamic.
See, that also camouflages them. You can't notice the gold so much.
Yes, they just wear a tiny little, like a bear's arm draped across their chest, and then all the shimmering gold is obscured because of that. The cloak is kind of fur as well. So maybe they just crawl into position before the battle.
Ah, right, okay.
There you go. So that's that explained. Let's have a look at the war scroll now to see exactly whether you're justified in complaining about it. So, here we go. A couple of wounds, each 4+ save. Pretty standard Stormcast stats here. Bolt Storm Pistol, range 9 inches, 2 attacks. Nothing too crazy about that. And their melee weapons are virtually identical apart from the hit and the wound being reversed on each one. The Hunter Prime makes 2 attacks rather than 3. 3 attacks rather than 2, should I say. And the interesting thing about him, usually a special character will say he'll shoot an extra time in the shooting phase, or he'll fight with an extra attack in the combat phase. But this guy has 3 attacks in all phases.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah, so he gets 3 with everything. So when he's already in combat on his turn, he can shoot 3 times and attack 3 times, if I'm reading that correctly.
Now,
So,
Andy, you said you reckon these guys are going to be quite expensive in points values.
I think they'll be relatively expensive, yes.
Give me a ballpark figure for 5.
Well, a ballpark figure. So we know that the Liberators for 5, they're about 100 points, aren't they?
10 Savage Orcs, 100 points.
Yeah, so I think Judicators are... How much are Judicators? Are they like 160, something like that?
But that's just for... Is that for 3?
No, that would be for 5. So these guys... I'm not sure. I can't even remember how many the Stormcast
150
stuff is now, because I could just go and get the General's Handbook really quick from over there. You know what? While people are staring at the war scroll, I'm going to do that so we can actually get some serious, legitimate discussion on this. So I'll be back in 1 second. Try not to completely destroy the show while I'm gone. Crabbington Steel.
So if you can't see that war scroll, just take it from me. They're really, really good. And the rules are really nerfed.
They are pretty good. I was tempted to get them, but with my limited funds, I didn't go for those. I also don't quite like the helmets. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. I think you should have optional real heads or helmets.
Yeah, I mean, one guy has a real head, and you can easily get like conversion, just not bolt heads, like helmless heads out there. There's enough companies, but
they do look great with the real heads, don't it? Just suddenly gives them character.
Okay, I'm back with point values. So I think I was actually right. Judicators are 160, which I believe is what I said. Liberators are 100. So these guys, for 5, I think they'd be slightly more than Judicators because these seem really, really dangerous. They're very versatile. So I would say they'll be a tiny bit more. Let's see how much the other things are. Retributors are 220 for 5. I don't think they'll be that much. Maybe 180 or 200, possibly. More than Judicators, less than Retributors, I think.
Really?
That's my prediction, because Retributors, of course, have more wounds and they just deal out huge amounts of pain.
Yeah, I mean, movability seems to get a huge point markup in AOS, like the Knight Vexillor or Lord Vexillor, who can teleport a unit. He is 200 points, and he just by himself can't do much. Just this one ability to put a unit somewhere just really like raises his points. So
the fact that these guys can just do that on their own pretty much.
Yeah.
And the important things to note with their ability, well, first of all, they can run and shoot, which is nice.
Is nice.
It's very nice. And normally when you deploy a unit, it's no closer than 9 inches to the enemy. Usually have to be more than 9 away, but these guys only have to be 7 inches away, which is a big difference because on average, on the charge, you will actually get a successful charge in with them compared to most units that come in where the average is that you fail. So more often than not, when they come in, they will be able to charge immediately. And of course, that only counts as their moves. They can still shoot when they come in and then charge you.
Naturally. So I've got a couple of points here. One is that old armies used to have a particular character and they used to have a particular fighting style, right? When you're looking at something like goblins, they'd have to, work different angles to get it right. Wood elves, you'd have to work the movement phase and control evading combat. Fighty armies like Chaos, you'd have to pretty much try and get them into combat as soon as possible with some, heavy magic stuff. But it seems like Stormcast, they've now got a sandbox for anything.
Well, the new book could make them that way because there are going to be abilities that are probably similar to spells, but used in a slightly different way. And they're going to have all different kinds of magic items and so on, if word is to be believed. So I have actually ordered that book, by the way.
And second point is that if you're bringing out a new faction, you probably want to make the rules really good for them, don't you? So people will buy them, right?
You would think.
If they gave it like Squid Gobble kind of rules, people only buy it because they like the models. It's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame.
A lot of people do like the Stormcast models as well.
I mean, to make these guys even better, they're going to have these Griff hounds running around with them, right?
Yes. Let's have a look at these. So I'll read their description. Pack hunting creatures from the realm of Azir. Griff hounds are noble beasts who detest corruption. Their sharp senses pierce deception as easily as their beaks and claws shred the flesh of the unfaithful. Packs of Griff hounds are known to ally themselves to those fighting for a just cause, and they offer loyalty and protection to their companions. Well, Griff hounds. Normally they've only been faithful assistants, but now you can have them in a full unit. And this is actually the one unit that I believe has inspired Dreddy to go full on into Stormcast mode. Isn't that right?
Yeah, this is the unit that pretty much tipped me over from just like being like, I have a few Stormcast models, I will keep it that way. I will just build a 1,000 points army because I want to use those Griff hounds on the table.
Dreadcast Eternals. Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, mine are also painted in a more like gloomy color scheme, which also fits. So, but the Griff hounds are actually good for all kinds of order armies, unless you need to play with like one of the really specific allegiances, like Sylvanus. If you have a pure Sylvanus army and you need that allegiance, you can't use them. But if you have a general mixed order army, they are super. They're an asset if you use at least one shooting unit in your army, as we will be able to see on their war scroll.
Is that because cool. they throw a missile weapon and then they sort of chase after it, just like they don't fight?
That would be a funny rule. But before we get to their rules, how would you paint yours, though? Are you going to do them all in different colours like this, or are you going to make them uniform?
Mine will all look like Jeff. A lot of tiny Jeffs, pretty much. They will all be purple, red claws. Maybe like a more skull-like head. I don't know yet, but they will
The
pretty
children
much
of Jeff.
The children of Jeff. Yeah, the litter.
Jeff hounds.
The Jeff hounds, the litter of Jeff.
They are pretty awesome, aren't they? Really good value for money, I have to say.
They're cute.
Yeah, it's pretty good value compared to other things. No, I'm not going to click on their war scroll because it doesn't actually load because they don't have it on the website at the moment.
Oh.
And I'm thinking that that's because they're going to change the war scroll, because as the rules are at the moment, previously you haven't been able to just take billions of Griff hounds.
You were actually.
Or you didn't have the ability to just buy a huge box of them.
Yeah, that's true.
So the way the rule read previously, some people are reading it to mean for each Griffhound that you have, for each Griffhound unit, so if you take them in individual units of 1 and just have like 5 of them, when the enemy comes down near them, then all your troops can just fire 5 times.
In a certain area around them, which is determined by a roll of 2d6.
Yes. So I think they're going to update that to probably say enemy unit within range of a Griffhound unit.
Yes.
So that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because otherwise it's a little bit ridiculous. Like each Griffhound lets out a slightly different high-pitched squeak, which tells everyone, and then suddenly they're able to like fire off 16 bolts in a row instead of just 1.
Or they change it to a unit that has already taken advantage of this rule this turn, can't shoot again because of Griffhound squeaking or something. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they will nerf that.
They will limit that. But very, very tasty. Lots of people are excited about these. Even people that aren't into Stormcast really like the Griffhounds, like Mr. Remington here. You're a big fan of the Griffhounds, but not much of a Stormcast fan, are you?
Yeah, they're good. I prefer the ogre hounds.
The
The saber tusks.
Yeah.
Myself, I'd like to see. There you go. That's a new fighting game. It's called Saber Pit. And there's like a pit, and you can, you gamble with your Griffhound against my saber tusk.
So really, you want to create Age of Pokemon?
Kind of like, kind of like a cockfighting pit, And like, they could put squigs in there. That'd be funny.
I'm not sure whether GW want to rile up Peter even more than they already have.
Who's Peter?
The protection of animals thingy.
Oh, give me a break.
I think they would actually have a right to complain if they opened like a dog fighting arena game.
I don't know.
I don't think GW would do that.
Why?
They had like squig fighting games, didn't they?
They're fantasy animals.
I think squigs are fantasy enough so that you could do it with them. But I don't know about Griffhounds.
It's a bird mixed with a dog.
Yeah, but Griffhounds, they just look like adorable little dog.
They've got 2 tails. What's the point of having the two bits on the end of the tail?
Yeah, I wouldn't see too much of a problem with that, me personally. Because I play Pokemon all day. I send a lot of adorable creatures to they faint in Pokemon, they don't die, but still.
Well,
I would play that.
$1 million idea just up in smoke yet again.
Someone has just sent me some leaked rules here, which I'm going to look at and relay them to you if they look interesting.
Are they very authentic?
So these are points for the new Stormcast, I think. Do you want me to tell you how many points those Vanguard hunters are? I don't think Rem's going to be happy.
120.
They're only 140 for 5.
Wow. Yeah,
and also, there is a way of making them battle line as well.
So they actually move faster than naked savage orcs. They've got movement of 6.
Well, they're aided by Sigmar.
Now,
so it makes sense.
Now, Andy, while you're there on Sigmar, I've got another bone to pick with that whole thing. Is that, listening to a lot of the audiobooks, which you can now hear on YouTube, by the way.
I'm sure that's totally illegal.
I've been listening to a lot of those, and of course, the ones that I bought and stuff, and there's quite a few out there now, and they're all like basically on the Stormcast side of things, and it's like only the faithful, Sigmar wills it. And what is the actual religion that they're talking about? I mean, because Sigmar in the old world was quite more fleshed out, like with prophets and sort of messengers. But what do the Stormcasts, what do they do? Do they are they vegetarian? Are they, what do they believe in?
They believe in thunder and lightning and a big bearded man in a giant golden armor on top of the throne.
And undoing the chaos corruption of the realms.
Okay, and then what? Do you know what I'm saying? What's the actual belief system going on? I mean, I don't think they know. I don't think they know themselves. They've been brainwashed.
I mean, they are quite fanatical, but I think that's part of the charm. It's pretty much the Space Marine thing where they barge into, destroy chaos and
establish order. Dreddy, I'll have to pull you up on that, please, just for one moment. You see, in 40k, you've got the Empire, the Imperium of Man, and you've got this Emperor that's been there for 10,000 years or whatever, and he's got this plan of destroying, things that chaos and like you say, but it's much more fleshed out. I mean, in Age of Sigmar, I know it's pretty new, but it seems very wishy-washy religion.
There is time to flesh out. They can add the regular human followers at some point. I'm sure they will.
They already did in the first big AOS book. Actually, they were showing normal human followers, the Empire fanatics and stuff.
Well, look, if the Lord Relictors, right, are the equivalent of priests or bishops, or vicars or mini popes or stuff.
Mini popes. I think you can buy those outside the Vatican.
Shouldn't they be don't use that foul language, or shouldn't they be telling them off or instructing them on religious virtues and stuff?
Well, if you're basing it on human religions where they argue about such petty things, then yes. But I think the religion of Sigmar is all just about removing the corruption of chaos that's slowly taken over all the realms, which is much more of it's a cause that you'd want to get behind compared to scrubbing out foul language among the orc tribes.
It's I mean, taking it into the real world, it's kind of like America, but what does it actually mean?
But you don't want to take it into the real world because it's fantasy, and they've tried to make it as over the top and crazy as possible.
I'm just making a comparison. It's what is it? What is the religion of Sigmar?
I actually think that foul language doesn't exist in the realms because all the audiobooks I listen to, no one ever cursed.
Well,
they're not using cuss words.
You know what I mean? I thought with all the kind of hours and hours now of audiobooks and
all legitimately purchased, I'm sure,
and readable books, which I did buy. Actually, we've got a lot of those.
Pretty sure you bought all your audiobooks legitimately, as an official statement.
Well,
just say yes.
So,
you're live on the internet. Remember?
I tell you what, I read half of the one I read one chapter, the first chapter of the Fire Slayers book, and that one chapter had more detail about the Fire Slayers' civilization and belief systems than any of the Sigmar stuff. So there.
Yeah.
On the topic of
a lot of spread out Sigmar lore out there, but it is not the deepest and fleshed out. And I think part of that is because they want to keep it kind of basic and relatable for as many people as possible, just so people can just buy them without being but this aspect of them actually puts me off. But they're just the good guys in shining armor. So
I know. Well, look, even the chaos, in the search for Gal Moraz book, there's this chaos Zinchian sorcerer, and even he's got more fleshed out detail about what he's been up to than any of the Stormcast books released so far.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. You need that. I think it needs that lore rather than loads of new models that come out. It needs a bit of lore behind it.
I mean, there is a bit of character establishment, in Wardens of the Everqueen, where that's, what is it? the guy who leads them with the lantern, like you have his internal struggles, and he is pretty much human, and he has to keep his other like Stormcast leaders in line, and
Yeah, I mean,
they're just not as deeply conflicted as the like chaos characters, which makes the chaos characters more interesting because they have this deep-seated, just like drive to do horrible things and their weird plans and
Dreddy,
schemes.
you're absolutely right, and I'll take that even further because in Wardens of the Everqueen, this Sigmar, although in his head he thinks he has good intentions, basically destroys the whole Sylvaneth realms by leading the Nurgle guys into it. So he's a complete moron.
Yeah, well, the Nurgle guys were pretty much following the Everqueen anyway, like if he had been there or not. So it's more like he has just been like caught in the middle of things. It's more the impression I get from it.
Well, either way, he destroys an entire civilization that had been hiding for thousands of years.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I haven't listened to the end of Wardens of the Everqueen yet, so I don't know how it ends. But
well, Ilariel's basically crying. She's absolutely seething mad, as you can quite imagine. And it's not surprising. I mean, she's surprising she hasn't just annihilated them all, but she's quite benevolent.
I think what you can boil it down to is if you really don't like the Stormcast's personality or the lack of personality that you've perceived, then you can play one of the more colourful armies, like the Fire Slayers.
Well, and I do, Andy, and I often win. In fact, I've never.
Well,
I've only been beaten once by a Stormcast army, and that was when it was basically it was you had the Stormcast and I had the Chaos, and I had to run. It took me 4 turns to get to you. By that time, you'd shot me to bits.
that did happen, yes.
Yeah, so
And you'll be pleased to know that I have ordered a Stardrake. So you can look forward to facing that on the battlefield.
That's great. I'm going to get my more boys on him. Be jumping all over him, tearing his flesh out.
Well, there you go. The scenario is writing itself already.
Yes.
On the topic of Fire Slayers as one of the more interesting armies, I was really tempted to start buying Fire Slayers, but I'm just holding off waiting for that elusive start collecting box. And I have seen the experimental points that they put out for Fire Slayers, where they've reduced basically everything. Like in 2,000 point army, you can shave 300 or 400 points off it now. So you're going to get a lot more Fire Slayers for your points now. If it stays that way. In General's Handbook 2, the Generaling, I think that's what they're calling it. And by the way, do you want to know how many points a Griff Hound is?
40.
Yes.
40. 2 wounds? 3 wounds?
I think 2. I want to say 2, but
2.
more than 1 at least.
Someone has sent me the magical artifacts and enchanted armor table for the Stormcast Eternals as well.
Ooh,
Which
please
is
read.
a random table that you roll before the game to see which one you get. And there are some interesting ones, such as it's basically a 6+ ward save. You can get things like extra wounds. Anything else? There's basically a extra powerful ward saves. There is spell unbinding abilities. All kinds of stuff.
Sounds like just making them more sturdy in general, which fits the whole concept of them.
But you can't rely on which one you're going to get because it's a random roll before the game.
That's okay.
So,
I played so many like orcs and goblins that I'm used to random stuff a lot.
Now, I think it's time. First of all, what we're going to look at is, I'm just going to show you one more thing before we get to Remington's favourite segment of the week. First of all, we're on the old Warhammer community here. And what we're looking at is a picture right here, which clearly shows some of the new stuff lined up nicely. The extra giant crossbows, which I'm looking forward to. I want to see the rules for them and the rules for those birds before I buy any of the new stuff.
Yes.
Because
I like those birds way better than the Dracos, I have to say. I wasn't a fan of the Dracos, but I like these birds.
You like these bird chicken mounts?
Yes.
What do you think of the individual birds just flying around on their own?
They're all right. I can see them now. Didn't actually.
I have a bit of trouble visualizing how sturdy they're going to be, because if you look, there's only a tiny little string holding them up almost.
Yeah, that might be time for like magnetizing or just slot them in with a, I don't know, something.
Yeah, they don't like using flying stands anymore, do they? GW.
Yeah.
But these big crossbows look very juicy, so I'm
Do
gonna check out them. And there's even bigger ones up there as well.
Do the birds come with the crossbows, or are they a separate unit?
I don't know actually.
They look like weird spotting birds for the crossbow people, but it could just be a separate unit of birds.
There's the really big artillery style crossbows right at the back out of focus, and they have birds around them as well.
Yeah. It might be, I don't know. I'm not a fan of like birds just being birds, but if they come with the units, then I obviously wouldn't throw them away. I would paint them, but
those birds, they're kind of not quite big. Are they big enough to make into Warhawk riders?
Those ones wouldn't be, unless you're putting like snotlings on them.
But are they big enough to be Great Eagles?
You could probably use them as Great Eagles, but they're a little bit on the small side, I would say.
maybe as fellbats.
Fellbats.
Yeah. These chicken things, these mounts, I actually prefer the Dracoffs, I think, entirely because I'm not sure how I would paint these, because there's a lot of smooth surfaces, whereas the Dracoths are all scales, which I can just dry brush onto. These are more smooth and flat, apart from the feathery bits. So I'd probably have more trouble painting these. But they do look cool.
I mean, I
especially
would
this
just
one.
paint them like I painted Jeff, just like a base color dry brush. I mean, base color wash dry brush for the flat bits.
I think those bird riders, well, the kind of what are they called? Bird hunters. Not the ones with wings, but the ones they're riding.
Chicken knights.
The chicken knight. They look a bit evil, I think.
I think that's why I like them a bit more than those. They don't look as like gloriously paladin-like. They're more like we have creepy bird horses.
I mean, they could have been dark elf mounts, couldn't they? Easily.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in my color scheme, which is like this is like a weird green. It's pretty much like the Sons of Horus in 30K. That's my color scheme for my Stormcast. I think that would look amazing.
We've got a comment here from Skeleton Flower, who has raised an interesting point. He would like to know more about how people live in the realms, like how do they trade, what kind of currency they use, just basic things that make them more relatable. I think there is a point there, because most of the stories are pretty much just, behold, the stench of chaos has inhabited the land. Yes, we must take it out immediately, kind of thing, isn't it?
You mostly just see the remnants of like civilization, like, oh, this was a great city of people and dwarves, and it has been torn down by chaos. And I don't know, they mention human tribes living in like island and stuff. But did you drop your mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
On my face.
So good. But yeah, you only always see the remnants of the civilizations, but I'm not sure if they ever actually met people that were still alive. Like everything is always like engulfed in the war, of course, which is always the focus of the books and audiobooks, but it would be interesting, yeah.
John Brendan Markham says the audio dramas are so flat because they lack anything beyond fighting and marching. Yeah, if you imagine
Pretty
like
much.
Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, but cut out everything that isn't a battle scene, it would be pretty boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
It's
sometimes
the
they
build-up to the battles and the fact that you care about the characters that are going into the battles and what are the wider implications of the battle.
Yeah, I mean, one book had like a bit of the inner thinkings of a Skaven plague priest, which was a bit more entertaining. Just the way like that the Skaven interacted with like the Nurgle warriors and stuff. So there is interesting like background fluff aspects to the books, but there's obviously a lot of just fighting and splitting of skulls and jumping around and so. I normally kind of zone out during those parts, and then I realize I haven't really listened to it, and I have to skip back and re-listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Lord of the Rings is, it's Frodo and his, what's his mate called? Sam. Frodo and Sam are on the, on this trail, and they're kind of being followed by Gollum, and he's got his motivations. I don't know. It needs more plots. It needs more plots and schemes.
Yeah, I mean, it has many years to grow. The old world had like how many 20 plus, like way over like 30 years.
Yeah, listen, I know I understand that argument, and I was making that same argument for the first 6 months, but I think now we're almost like 10 books in.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You know?
I'll draw a comparison. If you compare it to Star Wars: A New Hope, they throw you straight into the action. You don't really know what's going on, but it's exciting. It's all crazy, and people are dying all around. But then, very shortly afterwards, they start getting you into the characters. So I think Age of Sigmar needs to slow down on the excitement and just have a bit of character development time, so we can get to know people a bit, so that we care about them more. It's grabbed our attention. It's got us hooked. Now they need to flesh it out. And the longer they go without doing that, the more people are going to get bored with it, I think.
Definitely. I think it needs politics, because at the minute, they're just blindly following the will of Sigmar, and we don't really know what his plan is apart from to purge the world of chaos.
So that's its only plan at the moment.
Yeah. You know, I think
Chaos is bad. Let's kill it.
it needs some more dissenting voices, and that would make for much more interesting storylines. Like, you know, Stormcast arguing over which ways they should go.
Yeah, I think what Age of Sigmar needs is just like 10 more years and a lot of writers writing novels. Like, let's say Warhammer 40k, it has all those different settings, like the Gaunt's Ghost series and the whatever. And those are very different stories and characters in themselves, and it builds this giant universe. So I'm looking forward for more of that to come, for more like a diverse writing of the background, because right now it's very much just like getting people excited, like getting the initial excitement of people still and drawing them in. A lot of the books are kind of aimed at also a younger audience, I feel. There's no cursing in them. I mean, also not in 40k novels, but still it's like very low-key. And I don't know, maybe Age of Sigmar also needs a role-playing system at some point. That could help a lot.
Yeah, you're right, Jody. I think also the fact that Stormcast can't really die is also a way of you not having any emotions towards them, because you know they're going to live.
Unless they start to show us the consequences of what happens when they die too many times, and maybe if they die just a zillion times, they just turn completely psychotic and evil. If that happened, you might care a bit more.
But to do that, they're going to have to stick with the characters rather than just introducing lots of new characters for each book. Which they have stuck with a few.
There's a good fluff enhancing idea here from Andrew Wade, who basically wants special editions of all the old books, where they just release the books, but they change the names of the characters to like Cogsmith and Sigmarite Priest.
Could work.
I can't see them doing that. Now, Mr. Rem, are you prepared to play the theme song for your favourite segment of the week? Because we're about to start What the Hell Is That? And I'm going to tell everyone now, this is the final What the Hell Is That of this prize giveaway. So this name that goes on the list now is going to be the last one. And then that random draw will be done next week, and I'm going to give away a copy of Cheeks to the winner. So this is your last chance to get into the Cheeks draw. And then we'll work on a different prize after that.
Yes. So, also, Stu says people actually curse in some 40k books, like actual real-life cuss words.
Here we go, folks. Tell us what this miniature is from the current Age of Sigmar range.
All right. What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington know.
Well, what the hell is that? Now I'm zooming in and out because it's very, very zoomed in, so you can't really see much. When it's all the way zoomed in, it just looks like a white splodge. But when it zooms out a bit, you start to be able to make out some shapes.
It looks like something out of a horror movie poster.
I think it's moldy cheese.
I can tell you now that it is not moldy cheese. This is a miniature in the Age of Sigmar range. Who's going to get it first? We don't have any guesses yet. I think people are just staring at it, like tilting their head to one side, like, with one eye squinted. Come on, folks. What the hell is that? Someone is going to get it, I know. And I don't think it's going to take very long. I can feel it in my bones that someone's going to get it pretty quick.
Is it a snotling that's had a potato thrown in his face?
It is not. We've had some guesses. Gary Waddingham says Lord of Change. Nope. Andrew Lake says Night Goblin. Nope. And we actually have a correct guess already from Craig Shannon, who guessed that it was the Knight Azeros. And that was the inside of his lantern.
Yeah, man.
This could have been any glow of like anything blue glowing.
That's so impressive.
It has a very distinct S shape in the center of the lantern there, which must be what he recognized. So
I guess when you paint the model, you might recognize it.
Craig Shannon is the winner. So I shall add his name to the list.
Well, he's not actually the winner, Andy. You know who the winner is?
Who?
Age of Sigmar.
Yes, Age of Sigmar and the Warhammer community who totally ripped off What the Hell Is That? in the What Am I Looking At feature, or whatever they call it now.
By the way, I do have another $1 million idea. Just let me know when you're ready to hear it.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so I was on this date tonight, being Valentine's Day and whatnot, and the TV was on, and I just had this, it just popped into my head, you know, because we're talking about X Factor. And X Factor is basically the story of rags to riches, isn't it? It's the story of somebody normal can become somebody famous, a superstar, right?
Much like we have on this show.
So I was thinking of, what about the Z Factor? Okay, so instead of them like having to brutally sing in a dead room and just wearing like normal clothes and having to impress 3 judges, what if it starts with all the glitz and the glamour? That's how you first see them, and they slowly become really rubbish and poor. So it's like in reverse.
So they take celebrities and famous singers and musicians, and then they slowly grind them down to earth until they're living on the street.
Yeah, and they end up busking and stuff. And then let's see if they're really that good. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think there's documentaries about that kind of stuff already.
No, I don't mean it to be like a celebrity torture event, like the jump or something. I don't mean that. I mean, for instance, I thought one scenario could be like you put them in not in jungle, it could be jungle or wasteland or wildland, and they have to sing and attract animals with the power of their voices.
Like mountain lions, then they get eaten.
Well, it could be a bear or a mountain lion, yeah, or it could be a nightingale that perches on their, you know, that would be pretty awesome too.
It would have to be creatures that understand English, for example, Bigfoot.
Yes. Even though Bigfoot would classify as a hominid and not as an animal.
Well, I saw this video on YouTube. It had like 4 folk singers, like beardy, weirdy farmers, and they were singing in this field. And then all these cows came to them out of nowhere, like right up to them. I thought, wow, that's wicked, you know. So animals do know good music.
So you want to become Remington, the cow whisperer?
No, I just want to make money off the show.
You don't actually want to be in it.
I could be a producer. Maybe.
I'm not sure it's quite $1 million idea.
It's more than that. It's a $1 billion idea. Come on. That's huge.
Well, if Warhammer TV start doing it, then we'll know it was actually $1 million idea.
If next time the 2 guys from Warhammer TV, they're just out there in like a dark forest, like in their chairs with like, I don't know, a webcam, and then there's just bears approaching from behind.
Shreddy, your webcam looks so awesome. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's my new internet, pretty much. Making
the power of the German high-speed internet, finally, after all these years.
Wow.
I actually had this webcam for a while, but my internet was so crap that it was just a hazy blur the whole time. So I was finally able to fix that.
It was like hamsters passing each pixel down the line, one after another. So each one was taking a really long time to get there.
And nibbling a bit of it too.
I could get into this just being a voice and a picture, because I'm doing anything. You don't see what I'm doing right now, but
well, what you want to do is become a podcaster.
Okay.
So people can't look at you picking your nose and accidentally showing people your pants. Or if you're wearing no pants at all, like the host of Skelevision, which is a very popular wargaming show.
I
Yeah.
heard he only wears crotchless hot pants.
Nice.
That's what I heard as well.
Nice. So,
Okay, folks, we're going to look at some pictures that members of the community have put into the Facebook group now. We can admire their handiwork and then wonder why we're not as good as them.
Yes.
So here we go. This is from Kieran, first of all, and this is, what's the name of this guy again? He's the Iron Jaw something boss.
So mega boss or something.
Yeah, Mega Boss, that's it. With the giant skull on the shoulder, and this is very nice. Yellow, I normally find, is quite difficult to paint, but he's gone for a very interesting, different tones within the yellow, which looks quite good, doesn't it? And the nice edge highlighting, but it's not just edge highlighting. There are other colours within there as well.
Yeah.
Very
Created a bit of like extra cracks and like texture, I feel. Like just painted them on. I don't know if they actually exist on the model, but they look painted on, which is cool.
There's damage
always
on the
like
feet
that.
there.
Yeah.
that's awesome. I've got to say, the general standard of painting is just gone way up this last year. In my opinion, it's everyone's improved.
Now, this isn't painted, but this is basically scratch built with
This is
other
nuts.
bits thrown in. This is what Skeleton Flower's working on, which is one of his ogres. And you
What?
can see he's got the Anvil of Doom there as a weapon. He's got some little creatures up there that do actually exist, but much of this is just green stuff sculpted by hand.
Very much.
That's
All the
amazing.
little fur, everything.
You just have to make sure you don't drop the sculpting tool, especially while not wearing pants.
He looks like that ogre tyrant. You know, the rich one. What's his name?
I think he's based off that model, actually. I think there's parts of that model inside that.
Uh-huh.
He like greases gold tools.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Greasus before he got too fat to stand
Yeah.
up.
He actually got up. Like he slimmed down a bit and he was able to stand up.
Yeah, I hope Greasus makes a comeback. I thought he was a brilliant character.
Yeah, in some form or other.
Next, this is from Max, and this is looking very Zinchy. Let's actually get it in the shot properly here.
That's he's on a train set as well.
He does look like he's on a model railway there, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
So let's zoom out a bit on this so we can actually see what we're looking at here. So there we go.
I
The
like
beak,
that they look like lobsters.
the beak stands out a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
That's what draws the eye.
Be beak-like.
Professional painting critique here. I like the skin on the back of them as well. Looks nice and textured.
Yeah, I don't know if the model is done yet. The
Yeah, I
only
think
big thing I would say is that the flying disc could maybe it could have like a second color, like a bronze maybe, and not just
I'm
silver.
going to assume that the disc might not be finished,
Yeah, maybe not.
because you would think maybe that a wash would go on it, or the little details would be done in like gold or something.
Looks a bit washed, but I'm not sure. It's always hard to tell, like from pictures, because photos lie to you all the time.
Yeah.
And lighting and everything.
Next up, this is from Patrick, and this is very, very meaty looking, isn't it?
That's Vanguard on Bone Ripper.
And look at the just sinewy flesh going on there.
It's pretty neat. I like it. Saw it on the
Brilliant.
Facebook.
He's got a cage for a leg.
He seems to, yes.
Oh yeah.
Multiple hideous arms with weapons grafted into the ends of them. It looks like he just needs to finish off the base on this one.
Brilliant.
I like the skin.
Yes,
Next,
I always struggle with skin colors. With normal, like pinkish, normal human skin colors, I always struggle to this day.
now these aren't complete. I just want to show you what could drive somebody insane. This is what Craig Shannon is looking at on his painting table at the moment. I don't know why you would even attempt to start painting that many models at once. That would just kill me within a week.
And
know,
I did.
I did hear a good bit of advice, and that was to never lay out all the models you need to be working on all at once. It's better to put everything away and just have a couple of models you're working on at a time, rather than looking over your shoulder and seeing all that. You're just going to want to give up, ain't you?
If I have more than about 10, then it becomes an absolute nightmare and I just stare at them endlessly without actually painting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I painted my Betrayal at Kel's box all at once, pretty much in a big batch like that. But if you aim for a lower painting standard and all the models are really similar, it's actually doable. You just have to stay focused, not lose your mind, and distract yourself with audiobooks the whole time. Like, you can't start thinking about what you're doing right now. You will just like lose all motivation.
Next, this is from Edwin. And this is very cool looking. It's obviously an orc chariot with a little signpost. Little details like that add a bit of narrative to the base are always fun.
Very cute. It's very old hammery because like the scenery looks so... It looks a bit like the old illustrations from the old Warhammer books with like a little stream. It's very quaint. I like it.
I mean, that's the thing. They can't use signposts anymore in the Age of Sigmar world because everyone just teleports everywhere.
Well, you can have a signpost pointing at a realm gate.
Yes.
Next, this is from Beezy. And of course, these are what are they even called again? These big cavalry.
Righty piggy, big, I don't know.
Bareback riders?
I'm sure that's not it.
Something. Razor something maybe?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Razor Fang, Gore Cavalry, Super Pig, Mega...
Gore Riders? No. Gore...
Maybe. Gore
Riders.
Riders.
I don't know.
Grabbers.
Someone will know and put it in the chat. But it's an interesting colour scheme that looks to have a hint of orange about it.
Wild Boar Boys. No, they're not called that. I just read out what someone said.
But normally these guys look a bit weird. That thing under the mouth, when they were released, we weren't sure what was going on with it. Gore Grunters.
Yeah, there we go.
I think they're there just so they can get more things in their mouths. It's quite useful, really.
So you think they're like a cross between a wild boar and a pelican?
Yeah, they look a bit pelicanish. I mean, it'd be good to see one with its head raised up, so you could see what's in its mouth. We could have a little snotling in its mouth, living there.
Yeah, pelicans creep me out. By the way, they're the most creepy animals on planet Earth. Just the way they devour their prey is horrible.
And they steal things from you as well. Next, this is from Mark, and there's some very nice work going into this, which looks to be the giant beetle.
Now that's airbrush, right?
There will definitely be either some airbrushing or some very, very, very extensive, like 8-stage glazing. So it's probably airbrush.
I have seen people do that with dry brushing, by the way. It just takes really long. It's possible, though.
I've seen it done on a dusting video, posted by myself approximately 5 months ago. But yeah, that is airbrush. I got airbrush envy. That's pretty amazing, man.
It's looking nice, though. I mean, even the individual little leaves, you can see each line on top of the leaf there. So there's a ton of work that's going into this tiny piece by tiny piece. It's probably not going to be finished with this for a while, looking at it.
Yes, that's crazy.
Quite crazy indeed.
Crazy.
Next.
Oh, wow.
This is from Cameron. Now, this is very Zinchy.
Yeah.
And look at that. Everyone loves this model because it's got so many eyeballs.
It's quite tricky to paint that fella.
Is it tricky to paint the eyes?
Once you do the eyes, then the model makes sense. If you leave I left the eyes till last, so the model didn't look right. I don't know. But yeah, the eyes become a real attention grabber when you do those.
I like the feathers. I like the eyes.
Yeah, feathers and eyes.
Flames are nice.
Yeah, all around cool model, pretty much. Fun to paint, I imagine. I was tempted, but I have no use for a Gaunt Summoner in my collection, sadly.
Seeing that has almost made me want to mention the new Silver Tower.
Yeah. The new Fishman looks good there. That guy looks like he's not quite finished yet.
So Fishman
we'll
Warlord.
last couple of these, and then we'll talk about the Silver Tower before we disappear.
Yeah, they could make a whole faction out of those like Punch and Judy style familiars,
They just have to be fish, though, and just like really tiny. Like you just have 300 of those tiny fish people like walking over the table.
Yeah, like a familiar army. Every model. Great.
Okay, now this is Gary Waddingham, and we've seen he was in the comments earlier, so he's probably watching right now. I think he's painted Stormcast before, but this is the test model for a new army. I think I read.
It's very solid. Very, very solid.
Now, they always say faces, bases, shields makes a good model. and the base is awesome. The shield, you don't usually see white, and it's done really well. And it's not only the face that's cool too, but the breastplate, right? And the red on it looks awesome.
Yes, I
It's
like the
definitely-
highlights on the metal a lot.
It's a colour scheme I haven't seen too much of before. I don't remember whether I've seen it. If it's based on one of the actual standard Stormcast colour schemes, then I'm not aware of it because I haven't
Might
seen
be.
too many done this way.
There is a blue one, official one, but
I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but if you just lock screen on that, Andy, so you can see the hammer on that model.
What about it?
It's not only a hammer, but it can be used as an iron.
So if you want to smooth out your undergarments, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe Sigmar approves of that kind of thing. You don't want to be going into battle to face chaos with wrinkled underpants.
No.
yeah. I mean, they all have the weird loincloths. Those need straightening regularly.
Yeah, and also straightening out terrain, because if you watch like survival programs, and they've got like it's actually very difficult to sit down in the wild and lie down because there's no flat surfaces. So if you had like a hammer like that, you could really like smooth out your home or your camp.
And Gary has confirmed that these are the, what did he say, the Tempest Lords. So very, very tasty looking colour scheme there, blue and white. Normally you see a lot more metallics on Stormcast than that. Next, this is the last one actually, this is Stu Gibson. This is his giant, this is actually what he's using as the giant orc cabbage maw
That's
crusher thingy.
interesting. It's like heavily converted, isn't it?
Yes, I'm not sure if he's used any parts of the actual model.
It's like
I think it's-
Tyranid parts as the
I think
body.
it's made from lots of Tyranids and wings. I
That's
think
it.
it might all be Tyranid parts.
The pose is awesome. It looks like he's surfing on top of him.
He's got a chain attached to it as well that seems to be attached to his groin.
Safety, that is safety chain.
He's got a chain running from his groin to the creature, so he must have like balls of steel.
Or he got some replaced with chains.
Now, Andy, I do believe I sent you a couple of pictures. Don't know if you've
Did you really?
on the Facebook, yeah,
How long ago did you do that?
about 15 minutes ago, something.
Well, while we're talking about Silver Tower, I will get those prepared.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the rumors or seen the box art or seen the
Yes.
further rumors to the box art, but they've given more of a rundown of what's contained in the Fall of Hammerfell, Age of Sigmar Part 2.
Yes,
Silver
I've
Tower.
seen them all.
Right, well, do you believe it?
Yeah, it looks authentic. Like all the models in there look like they could be in there. There's no reason not to have them in there. It's interesting that one of the heroes, I think, actually is a high elf. If I'm not mistaken.
But on the box art, it looks like a high elf on a steed, does it not?
Does it? I don't have it in front of my imaginary eye right now, but
I shall have to find it and show you. But basically, all the models are stuff that's kind of been out before.
yes, the Blight Kings are very cool. The worth for that alone. Blight Kings are amazing models. I have assembled and painted 10 of them.
Wow.
It's very cool. Sadly, I'm tired of them, so I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't look forward to painting them again.
The
I know
model,
people that bought the last Silver Tower purely to use the miniatures out of it in a Chaos army. So if you're into the armies that are featured in these boxed games, they often are quite good value for the number of models you get in them.
Yes.
yeah. I mean, the model I wanted was the Black Heart Fleet Master, the Corsair with the one eye and the peg leg.
That's a cool model.
Yeah, so I think maybe I could get. Someone might be selling that one cheap, you know.
You'll probably find one on eBay.
Yeah,
Most likely. People will just tear the boxes apart again and sell every single bit of it.
and also there's a Cogsmith, right?
Yes.
I think there's a newish Age of Sigmar model. Surprise, surprise. A Sigmar model.
Celestins? Was it
Yeah,
that?
he's got a lantern, hasn't he?
Yeah, the lantern guy is in there. The funny thing is, I'm playing Silver Tower with some people, and to this day, we have only managed to play the first Silver Tower scenario twice. The first time we don't count because that was a horrible mess, and we just managed to like actually come together. All the people had time and play the first scenario, and we were joking like, haha, hopefully we can finish the campaign before the next game comes out, and now it's coming out like this month. I'm playing a lot Relictor, by the way, which is amazing.
So exciting times ahead, I think you'll agree. However, we really want those Steamhead Dwarden. If only, it's not even so I can rush out and buy them. I just want to look at them so I know whether I should buy those or whether I should think, they're not that incredible. I'll just get Fire Slayers instead. I just want to know whether it's worth buying Fire Slayers or whether the new Dwarden is just going to completely blow me away and I'll want to spend all my money on them.
Just imagine they will be like announced 1 week after your Stardrake arrived and it's still unpainted and you're just staring at it and you're just,
I'm not going to be staring at it because I've already planned beforehand how I'm going to paint it, which is very important. I didn't want to buy it and then just have it sitting in the painting table, filling up the entire painting table, because it will, and then wondering, how on earth am I going to paint that? Like I was thinking with this Griff hound for the last 3 months. But I've actually done a bit more work on that now. You can see I've actually started to, let's see if it'll focus if I get it really, really close.
He looks a bit Jeff-colored in the fuzziness.
Well, kind of. Doesn't really want to at the moment. Let's see if I can get it.
Yeah, my camera is just not, it just doesn't want to focus. Yeah. Apparently the autofocus is amazing on this kind of webcam. Andy and I have the same. There we go.
Oh, there we go. It's focused. So everyone can see its glory. I've started dry brushing it in purple. Bit more dry brushing, and then I'm going to paint each individual feather in white. So I think that's going to look okay when it's finished.
It looks very smooth. I don't think I would paint every individual feather because it would drive me bonkers. I would just dry brush it.
But I think if you've ever seen any of my Dark Angel Space Marines, when they've got like little wing symbols on them, I did each individual little feather bit, and I think it looks really good. So I think if I do it on him, it's going to look nice. And I don't have a full squad of them, so it's not going to take me 3 years. That might be the only Griff hound I ever get. So it's not going to be too much effort. I want to get that done, and then that will make space for the Stardrake to be plonked there. And then there'll be a race against time to get that done before anything else juicy comes out that I need to get. That's why I've rushed through and got all these things done, like Mr. Jeff, for example.
As we're speaking of Griff hounds, just really quick a request to the audience. I'm getting a box of Griff hounds. There's 6 Griff hounds in it. I need 7 Griff hounds to round off my army. If anyone has a spare Griff hound in their collection and wants to part with it, contact me on YouTube. Let me know. I could give you a few bucks for it, cover the postage. Like, I obviously won't pay crazy, like, nutter prices, but that would be great. Please let me know. I also have a parcel box now to get stuff shipped to me anonymously.
And if anyone wants to donate $50 to your channel, they can name one of your Griff hounds.
Yeah, they can do that for $75, actually.
Okay, that was close. Okay, now, Mr. Rem, we're finally going to look at the things that you've been painting, which I've just loaded up the old pictures for. So here we go. Let's see what's on Remington's table right now.
Well, I've finished my wood choppers, and I've bought some Age of Sigmar bases, and it was actually quite hard work getting these ones looking nice and wood elfy.
They do look really good on those bases, actually.
They do.
Yeah, they look. I'm quite happy with those. So I'm going to buy the cavalry ones as well, so I can do my cavalry.
Yeah, you could even get Griff hounds and use them together with your elves.
Yeah, I could.
Anything else you want to say about these before we go on to the next image?
Yeah, they're pretty good, aren't they?
Okay, the next picture.
No, yes.
Okay, now you're talking.
Yeah,
yes, I like them.
These were a lot more fun because I don't know, they're just easy to paint. I made the fatal error of putting the squigs on the 2 bigger bases, though. They just felt like they should go on those 32mm, and then I went on the TGA community website and they recommend they should be on 25 millimeter bases. So
as long as it looks cool, who cares?
yeah,
Who
I mean,
cares?
how firmly attached are they?
I don't know. Are they locked? Yeah, they're all right. The ones that are plastic, fine cast, are solid, but the metal ones, so I've got another 8 more to do. You see.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to risk fine cast coming off its base because you're probably going to snap the model in half.
I like the little leopard spots the one has on its belly.
This
Okay.
guy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, notice they're more now on these bases. So yeah, I think these bases are a winner. Like I said, they're a bit harder to do if you want like a forest-looking base without putting extra bits and bobs on. But for fiery, evil-looking bases, they're dead easy. They look quite cartoon-like as well.
Yes.
They're not easy to make look really realistic, in my
You
opinion.
have to use like really like desaturated colors to make them look more realistic. And even then, they're still goofy goblins with giant noses. So
Yeah, I don't mind them looking cartoony from the goblins, but it's got me. I got back into after a pretty whole solid month on Vermintide. I've had a couple because I got the week off this week. I had a couple of days on Total Warhammer again. So I've been playing the goblins, and they are the hardest faction to play. Real challenge, I thought, and it got me right back into painting up and basing up my gobos.
Well, people will be pleased to see that you've got your painting groove back on again.
Yeah, I'm right back bang into it now.
yes,
And
getting
hopefully we can get
inspiration
gaming
is
soon.
very important.
Right. So that's pretty much everything we're going to look at this week. So let's talk about what we've got coming up on our various channels. So, Mr. Rem, I assume you've got a plethora of content coming up on your channel over the next few weeks.
Yeah, just watch this space and
You could do a podcast.
I don't know. I like listening to podcasts. I'm actually a very voracious consumer. I don't know. I listen to all other people, all the knowledge that's out there, and I don't know. I don't feel like I'm really up to standard of a lot of the podcasts and people that talk about Warhammer and stuff.
Well,
I mean,
people want Remington's pillow talk to come back.
they want the pillow talk. Yeah, I think there's going to have to be quite a big element of blagging involved when I'm talking about,
Anything.
Age of Sigmar stuff. So they'd have to just work with me on that. But I asked, I don't know, like an idiot. I said to Vince Venturella, I'll go on your show next week. And he went, yeah, I'm booked, but I'll get you in soon. And then I've been like watching the show one weekly, and it's like they have like proper experts on there and stuff. So if
You better get your calculator and have all your books to hand and do some serious homework before you go on there.
Also, people like to listen to you for your personality. Like a lot of people just like to listen to you because of who you are. That's like a big part of YouTube, I think. I think it's the only reason that I actually have subscribers. Because of my content.
all right. Yeah, I'll try and avoid getting into like, real heavy rules talk and stuff because
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my shows, I just didn't talk about wargaming at all, almost completely. I talked about my new headset I bought, and I don't know what I had for dinner for 1.5 hours, and it works.
I assume there's going to be like a 2-hour-long Dread Cave just on the new chair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the chair show is coming up, my new professional chair here.
Oh wow, go on, Garen. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It was that I got from John Brendan Markham as a donation to my channel. It's very cool. For wearing this hat, by the way, which I will also wear through my next show. Because he paid for it for me to wear this hat.
If there's
Total
reason to
sellout.
webcam, Mr. Remington. If people want to throw money at you to wear a hat, how can they do it now if they can't even see you?
Well, I love hats, but they just don't really suit me, unfortunately. I've got like a rather large nose and a strange-looking profile, so I kind of look like Rumpelstiltskin when I wear a hat. But I've got a couple of beanie hats. I've got a straw hat.
Well, there you go. Some people might be really into seeing you in those hats.
I think you'd look good in a witch hunter's hat. Yeah, you just, you know what I mean? It would look awesome.
Possibly.
Yeah. I had one thing else to mention, because Mickey Jenver said, you know, personality and stuff is cool for the shows. And, you know, One Weekly had Reef on their show, as did we, I might add. Reef has been in touch with me, Mr. Reef, Beastman. And he sends you his best regards. And I think he's slowly waking up from his slumber. And he's thinking about getting things going again, you know? So
interesting.
Yeah, I invited him on the show, and he's a bit nervous about, you know, doing something like that. But he wants to talk gaming, and you know, he wants to celebrate his friend Martin, who passed away last year, and he wants to be able to talk about it. So yeah, he just wants to pass on his best regards.
And we always want to welcome people back into the wargaming fold after they take any kind of leave of absence.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool news. Hopefully, convince him to come. You know, convince him to come on the show again. Be really cool.
Fellow Beastman enthusiast of yours, of course.
Yeah, and obviously before Age of Sigmar, Reefy was one of the stalwarts of Warhammer Fantasy YouTubers. Really, even before there was a YouTubers page, he was putting up fantasy battle reports, and you know, he started bottom table dwellers rather, which is sort of it wasn't, you know, competitive. It was more for fun, which is always a good thing.
Indeed, and that's the kind of tone that I think spiritually shows like ours have continued to sow across the field of the community.
Yes, which is also a reason why people should go and subscribe to Skeleton Flower, one word, on YouTube if they want more personality, talk, and randomness to have in the background while they paint and get stuff done.
He regularly goes for 4 or 5 hours on those Skelevision shows. So if you need something to listen to while painting, and if you want discussion of why you shouldn't wear pants, then that is the show for you. Something coming up everyone should look out for, of course, is the next episode of The Parkening, which is going to be on Dreddy's channel. We're going to be recording that very soon.
Yes, it's Gloom Ready Gaming, my channel. It will be on it very soon. I will just say it like that.
So what is the Parkening for Parkening virgins out there?
For people who don't know anything about the Parkening, they should click the Parkening series playlist on my channel. And it's the tale of the true power behind the realms and the fact that it's all to do with interdimensional pigs that race each other really fast around a circuit and battle for dominance, basically. And then when one side loses the race, they have to plot and scheme to give their pig the edge in the next race. So that's what it comes down to.
Yes, it's pretty much alternative Age of Sigmar storytelling. And it's the ground basis of it is based on a little video series I did or still do, where I just like pretty much move figures around and talk with them and tell little silly stories. That's where Jeff came from, and a few other characters, where also the best elves and other things are explained. So it's pretty much the prequel to the Parkening.
So it's fair to say that the Parkening was the cornerstone of my campaign to win the Best Battle Reporter Award in 2016 as well. Parkening was a big part of that.
You might alternatively, or as well as, say that the fantasy battle reports featuring Remington Steel were also a big part of that. However,
yeah, they were up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of battle reports, since I had to kind of abandon the whole Patreon thing for a while you were unable to come up here to play more games,
because it cost me too much. Yeah, go on.
I think I've managed to locate enough local people now, so I am actually going to start firing out more battle reports for Age of Sigmar and other games. For example, Kings of War. I've done a lot of battle reports on that as well. So I've actually relaunched, rejigged with the whole Patreon page if anyone's interested in looking at that again.
What you mean? You got other friends than me and Dreddy?
I know it's surprising, Remington.
I'm still a Patreon.
I feel a bit sad about that.
Yeah, while Mr. Rem is off touring the world with just groupies crowding into his limo, he thinks everyone else is just shut alone in their homes, painting away.
I mean, it's how I prefer to spend my time, but I actually have a
that's
social
what
life.
everyone prefers to do, really.
Yeah,
Not all the time.
I'd prefer to be at home painting miniatures all day. That's what I'd like to do.
Than having your limo being tipped over by angry groupies because you wouldn't sign enough autographs after the concert.
Yeah, it's just take, isn't it? Or that.
Well, I think it's going to be time to close this one. So there's links in the description, folks, for all the things that we just mentioned. For example, and I don't know if you really want to check out Remington's channel. Chances of anything appearing on there are quite slim.
I believe there's about 40 odd videos, but never mind.
Yeah, there's new content on Dreddy's channel a lot though.
It is every week, but it's a small idea. So I mean, the Forest of Rams, there were a lot of people that really liked it, but also a lot of people that kind of didn't like it, like in the concept of the Andy and Ram show. But that would maybe make good content for the Remington channel. Who knows? Like season 2 on Rem's channel. That would create content.
Like the Forest of Andy, which is on Rem's channel.
The Forest of Andy. I like it, man. Yeah, I mean, do you know when you put all the Forest of Rem episodes together as one? I watched all that and I thought it was fantastic. It is great. It's epic, man.
It's a wonderful piece of storytelling carved out before your very eyes live on the internet and then compiled for your convenience in one large video with background music.
It will be up there with the tellings of Tolkien in about 60 years. It will be as regarded.
How many views has it had, Andy?
It's had a few hundred so far.
That's brilliant, man. Brilliant.
It's doing all right. Okay, so don't forget to check out all the links in the description for various channels of people. There are links to Facebook groups in there, the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group, and my general Facebook group, which is the one that's not really Age of Sigmar related. There's also links to Patreon in there, and there's a PayPal link as well now, in case people get really drunk and feel like sending me some money, which I'm not going to turn down.
Basically, send all your free stuff.
Send stuff and money to me, and then send nice comments to Remington so he doesn't feel bad about it.
Yeah, and then obviously at the end of the year, send the awards to Andy as well.
Yes, I'll put up all the certificates around my gaming chamber, and Remington can just be sitting there eating his stale lentils. Okay, are you ready to play us out?
No, I'm not ready. I'm painting a squig.
Well, I think you need to get your instrument in hand and give the people what they want.
Right. Now, I was just thinking maybe I could play something, right, while you sing, Andy, and Dreddy does a puppet dance.
Well, in theory, that would be great. However, the Hangout will only allow one audio stream at a time, so we wouldn't hear the music if I was singing.
Oh, that's sad.
So all the sound has to come from one end, and I can't really sing at the moment because people might be asleep in this house.
Yeah, you got the kind of voice where animals can hear it from the other side of the city.
And they start dancing because it's so great.
No, they
might have tricked mountain lions, actually.
They start howling, actually. And
okay, I'll put the camera on the dance of Crabbington Steel while Remington Steel plays us out. How's that?
Right, what have I got to do? Have I got to play now?
Yes.
All right.
Remember, it's Valentine's Day. So
okay. Something. I don't know.
Something about love, maybe to do with lobsters as well.
Okay, here we go then. Right, I'll do a little waltz for Crabbington. Is it locked on Crab?
It sure is.
Okay, here we go. Send Andy all of your awards. Send Andy, he'll never get bored. Send Andy all your money. Send Andy, it's not funny, 'cause me and Dreddy are dancing alone. Me and Dreddy home alone. But all we have is the Andy and Rem show to keep us company. Andy has all his awards and all his patron money. It's the Andy and Rem show. What can you do? It's the Andy and Rem show. It's the Andy and Rem show. What can you do but watch Remington's old videos on YouTube and the parkening and the forest of Rem. Andy and his new friends. He's got lots of gamers who are queuing up to play with his dwarves and his Stormcast. Poor old Remington, stuck in Leicester with Crabbington.